Everybody, welcome to Snow Talk, and finally we got some things to talk about, right? We're getting closer and closer to the pattern change, so we will break that down for you in just a second. Real quick look at the stats. They haven't changed from yesterday yet. Still running behind normal. Shocker. It's nice and quiet today, though. All right, big headlines, the potential for near record warmth. 44 now, 37 into E-Town. We still got a good south wind to get us up there today. It wouldn't surprise you, by the way. The record is 73. That will get that level of 73, but 70 is reachable. I'm going to evaluate the morning trends, and then on midday I'll decide whether or not I'm going to push our forecast high 70 or higher, but not much of a difference. But I know mentally, you hear 69 versus you hear 70, it just sounds better, right? But I don't want to change it because it sounds better. I want to see if that potential is there, and then I'll let you guys know on midday. All right, so we have a front tomorrow, by the way, that'll drop in and knock us down a tad bit tomorrow. So it will be a cooler day, especially for those of you in Indiana, a lot cooler. Those of you south of Louisville, not much of a change in your weather from today to tomorrow. And then we get into Thursday when the actual front moves in that has moisture with it, and there's not a lot to work with here. This is not looking exciting at all for rainfall. A few showers during the day on Thursday. And that's about it. All right, that's boring. Let's move on. Let's get into the setup. Now, I'm going to show you the operational run of the Euro. What I mean by that is the model run that runs based on the solutions that it has, and it comes up with one definitive idea of what could happen. And then we'll get into what I call the ensembles, which are all the different potential ideas, and it takes the average of those and displays it. I hope that makes sense, and I think that's a better way to look at this pattern. So let's start with the Euro as it is face value, and I think it's not far off, but there are some differences, and I'll explain why I think that those differences are there. But one thing we'll watch for this weekend is this little energy moving in across Georgia. GFS has been hinting it wants to dig it in across portions of the Mid-Atlantic and the Delmarva Peninsula and then head up the East Coast, which would, only thing that would do is just deepen the trough over the Appalachians a bit more, so it would prevent our warming from being rapid. It would be just status quo, which I think is likely to happen, but other than that, no impact on a deepening low to our east like that. Euro hints at something like that trying to happen, but I think in general it's going to be a non-issue, and I think it's to be more of an offshore thing, really. Either way, after it passes by this weekend, we get into the warming surge. Now, the Euro is going to go ahead and bring in this full gauntlet here of cold air. So we get into the warm weather, very windy, potential for thunderstorms Monday, part of Tuesday, and then we crash Wednesday with cold air. And then we get into a very deep trough. And then what happens is, when you get deep troughs like this, you get energy, these little clippers, if you will, that round the base of them that can rotate around. And in some cases, the trough is really deep, then the energy misses us completely, goes all the way to Georgia. And wouldn't that be something, give Georgia a snow event and not us nothing? That would be fitting, right? And we've seen that happen. So the depth of the trough is key on the angle when those little vorts, little pieces of energy pass around it. The plus side too to that for you winter fans is when you get a trough like that, and if you can get a split flow of the jet, which we're seeing hints of, then you can get energy coming out of Mexico and southern Texas. Now, the problem with that, it's harder to sample. So the models never see that until you get within a certain range. And then you can get a phasing of a system that can then go up to the Mid-Atlantic, an app runner, if you will. That is certainly possible to kind of set up. But right now, it's not focused on that. It's just focused on the idea that the cold air is going to be building in. But how it gets here is a little bit different on each little model run that we look at. So it's best to look at how the setup is. Now, here's the overall Euro ensemble. And now I want to show you guys this so you get an idea of why we were talking about the pattern change. You're looking at the upper layers of the atmosphere. You've got a trough here into the Gulf of Alaska and the Aleutian Islands. You've got a ridge up the East Coast in Western Canada. You get a trough over us, and you get a ridge into Greenland. This is a classic setup for blocking, which means the weather pattern is going to come to a halt. It is going to get locked in on whatever it transitions to, which would be cold for us, and then lock. How long does that stay? Usually patterns like that have a staying power about 2 weeks. It just depends on the ocean currents and how things set up, especially the Pacific Ocean, how that translates for us down the road here. But at least for the Northern Atlantic, the Greenland block is wanting to hold for a while. We'll see how that plays out. But the timing is a strong signal here. And we've had this for a while, that it's going to be December and mid-December, and that's the way it's playing out for us. So let's look at the ensembles and the operational too. Here's the GFS operational run that changes often. Here's the ensemble that kind of smooths the idea out. Here's the Euro and its ensemble. Now, the Canadian on this particular model site does not show the operational, but it does give its ensemble, so we'll just look at that. So really, I want you guys to look at the bottom row. Here's Kentucky, in case you guys are trying to squint and see, right there. And we'll point out the operational, but the bottom row is the important part of how this is going to play out. So here we are Monday. On Monday, already seeing an issue with operationals because the Euro sees a high pressure more over Pennsylvania. So it is allowing for a full surge of energy to come out of the four corners, combined with this low in the Midwest, and you just got a full-on deep trough. It slams in here in a hurry, which is a bit unusual, I will say, for the Euro to do that. The GFS acts more like the Euro in this setup here. It sees the high to the southeast, so as the stronger low moves in, it breaks apart a piece of it and sends it to the southwest for a while, which still will allow for the trough to dig in our area, but delays it by a few days in that case. But when you look at the ensemble, yeah, it sees that ridging there, but so does the Euro, and notice it's slower. All right, even the Euro is not full, cold air attack just yet on Monday. So I really think that the ensembles have a good idea that this is going to be a little bit slower. It's an in-between idea of the Euro fast and the GFS kind of sloppy way. It's going to be in-between way of how we're going to get there, looks like. So here we go, Tuesday. All right, Tuesday of next week. Again, here's the splitting of that low. GFS pulls apart, but still it's going to try to pull down the cold air, but it's going to have to wait a bit. Meanwhile, Euro says that, nope, there's nothing in our way, so we're coming on down for a visit. Then when you look at the ensembles, again, they're not entirely all the way in yet with the cold, and this is Tuesday. Then we head into Thursday. I'm going to skip a day here. Thursday, it's full on over us. GFS still getting there. This is going to be a low that eventually would bring it in, but it would be toward next Friday. The GFS finally would make it arrive here. But when you look at the ensembles, notice how they're much better agreement of what the Euro idea is. So I think the Euro is a better operational model to look at. If you had to look at any of them, I think it has a better idea. I just think the timing and evolution is off a bit. And I've turned the forecast that way. I'm not going to slam this into the cold, the real cold stuff right away. I think it's going to be a transition to it. But we'll get there. And next week is certainly going to be the week of change coming our way. And just for fun, I looked at the new weekly long term there of the Euro. This is where it has snow Christmas. The darker the grays into the blues and the pinks, that's your greater potential. The more lighter gray, the lower potential. But again, this is just one model's idea, but it's interesting to see that if you look at just a dark grays, it's aiming on the Great Lakes, perhaps Ohio Valley in the Northeast, and certainly for the Rockies, and a little iffy for the Tennessee Valley into Texas, but something fun to look at, right? I have the Snow Talk banner somewhere. Not sure where it is. There it is. Okay, so this is how the board looks. I'm going to go with a minor snow chance, at least on the 10th for right now, and then maybe something to watch in the 11th. That is a lot later. I mean, technically, we could find ourselves in a snowy deal as early as the 7th or the 8th of a clipper. I'm not ruling that out, but for now, I'm going to go with my gut feeling on this. With the pattern, I'm going to go a bit slower, and if we have to trend things up a little bit more, we'll do that. But I think this is going to be a mid-December kind of a deal and a lot of fun. So buckle up, guys. For you snow haters, at least you have near record warmth today. Enjoy it.